Hello everyone, I'm Rodney from 3dgameman.com, and today I'm looking at the TRENDnet TEW-818DRU AC1900 dual band wireless router. It comes in this informative box that has a picture of the product on the front, plus a couple on the back, plus lots of features and specifications about it. Now let's see what's inside. It's shipped in this environmentally friendly packaging material. Included is a Category 5E network cable, a power adapter, a user's manual, a little piece of plastic here on this side as well as on the other side, but on it they include some wireless presets as well as, the management logon and the Wi-Fi key. Now let's have a closer look. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, with the standards, it supports 802.3, 802.3U, 802.3AB, as well as 802.11A, B, G, N, as well as AC. So lots of standards supported with this Wi-Fi router. And by the way, the end speed would be 600 megabits per second, and the AC would be a blistering fast 1.3 gigabits per second. Incredible that you can get over gigabit speeds on Wi-Fi. Super cool, there's no doubt about it. On the back, you've got a number of ports. At the top, a USB 3 port. Here's a USB 2 port, a WPS button, gigabit ports here. 4 of the LAN ports are in black. The WAN port is in yellow, and at the bottom is where the power adapter gets connected. On the top of the router, you can see some ventilation. That's to help, of course, the heat escape from the inside. Ventilation at the bottom. You've got 4 rubber feet down here and all kinds of information about the router, the product number, as well as the Wi-Fi name, the Wi-Fi key, the management login gives you a URL, as well as the username, and as well as the password that comes with this router. Of course, first thing to do is go in and change that. At the front, a number of activity LEDs. Now before I continue with the specifications, have a look all the way around this router. I think it's pretty darn sharp. This looks like brushed aluminum, but it isn't. It is plastic. Still looks rather neat though, and their logo stamped on either side. I have to say though, this design standing up, being vertical, can have its drawbacks, because if you have a number of ports connected here at the back with wires hanging out of it, well, it can what? Topple over. Would have been nice if they gave the option of putting it this way, maybe some extra feet in the package so you could stick it on here and lay it flat, because it really doesn't matter. I know it's designed for heat escaping at the top, but that shouldn't matter a whole lot. Even if you had the light on the side, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but I'm being picky. I thought I'd mention that though. Okay, so let's continue with the specifications. With regards to security, it can do up to WPA2, pretty common for these new Wi-Fi routers. Do that. Don't go anything lower than WPA2, even if you're at home. As for firewall, well, you can do NAT or SPI. Parental controls, you have them on this. You can do MAC filters, URL, or IP filters. Now, as for operating system requirements, pretty standard here. You've got, Windows 8.1, 8.7, Vista XP, God help you. Mac OS X 10.9 all the way down to 10.4. Now the special features on this, and I will be going through the software, but just to go over them now, you've got QoS management, you've got IP6, version 6 support. You can do actually WDS with this. You can do up to 2 additional SSIDs per band, 1 guest network per band with the option of having internet only, which is good for guests because you really don't want them on your home network, or for that matter your business network. If you give them a guest account, then they can log in and only have internet access. You can also do dynamic DNS support for dyn.com or no-ip.com. You've got the Samba FTP server support. You can do that. I showed you the USB ports on the back. You can connect that on there if you want to. And you've got multi-language support, English, French, Spanish, German, as well as Russian. Oh, and by the way, this router is compatible with DD-WRT firmware, and well, that opens up a whole new world when it comes to, the stock firmware that you'll see on a lot of these routers. So that's a wonderful thing. Now, as you can see, there are no external antennas on this. Is that worrisome? Well, you know what? I'm one of those external antenna guys, to be honest. However, a lot of products these days, well, they're not coming with them. It's inside of the device. And this one does have a pretty darn good antenna or antennas. You've got a 2.4 gigahertz 6 dBi internal. You've got the 5 gigahertz 6 dBi internal as well. So that's not too shabby. And on the screen right now, I will list the wireless output power as well as the receiving sensitivity, so you can get some idea what that is about. Now, as for dimensions on this, it's pretty compact. It is 48 by 152 by 180 millimeters. It weighs in a very lightweight 14 ounces. And by the way, this comes with a 3-year warranty. A little interruption here in this video review to bring you a word from my sponsor, Antec. They currently have a new power supply line, the Edge series. They come in 3 different models, 550 watt, 650 watt, and 750 watt. You can check them out at www.antec.com. Now, back to the video review. Now, setup on this is super easy. Just open up your favorite web browser, Chrome, and in the address bar, type in TEW-818DRU, or if you're old school, you can type in the 192.168.10.1. Yes, 10.1, not 1.1. And I think one of the reasons why they did it this way is sometimes you might have a modem/router already on the network that might conflict with 1.1, and if that's the case, well, you should disable really the router functionality or put it in the bridge mode or something, the 1.1, really. But some people don't have a lot of networking skills in that particular situation, so 10.1, it's pretty darn smart. Also smart is not going with a standard password. Now, the username is pretty standard, admin, but the password is not, for example, admin or password or blank. It is, and it has its own. I like the fact that they've done that because it's a little secure, even right out of the box. So just go through this wizard, select the internet that you have, just go next, next, next. If you have, I have DSL here, so you would enter your username and password, again, if it is required. And once you've done that, you can go ahead and then click on next, and there you have all the information. Of course, you can change the SSIDs for all that kind of stuff. The router will reboot, and now we'll have a more detailed look at the stock firmware. Within Basic, you have a few different options. You can view the network status for internet, wireless, guest network, connected devices, and the USB devices. Within wireless, you have a few different 2.4 gigahertz wireless network options as well as 5 gigahertz wireless options. Note the security policy, which you can change on each, as well as the WPA. Guest networks, again, for both 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz as well. You got this wireless client isolation, which isolates guests from each other. It's quite nice to have, and some pretty simple parental controls. Now, this is where things get interesting in the advanced. First, when you click on it, it will show you the status, system info, internet connections, LAN, as well as the wireless information. You can disconnect here if you want to as well. Let's go into management. Not going to go through all of these in much detail, just scroll through them so you can have a quick peek. You can update the firmware. Here are the system management settings, time settings. You can set up a schedule, router status, IP version 6 status, the system log, and the advanced network options. Within setup, you've got LAN settings, WAN settings, routing. By the way, if I'm going too fast for you here, you can just pause it. The IP version 6 settings, QoS settings, the wizard, which I'll cancel, the VLAN settings. Now let's go into, I'll go into the wireless 2.4 gigahertz. I won't go into the 5 because they're the same. You can do multiple SSIDs. That's pretty darn cool. You can do WDS, advanced, and WPS. And as you can see, it's pretty darn responsive. Wi-Fi again, look, you've got the same ones. Security settings for access control. Firewall, the DMZ settings, virtual server rules, special applications, gaming section, as well as the application level gateway, and USB. You can set up a Samba server, FTP server. You can also eject the device. Definitely a very sweet Wi-Fi router. If you're looking for an AC wireless router, well, this just might be for you. My only concern with this particular router is the fact that it doesn't have any external antennas on it, and in some situations that can be important. It would have been nice if it had the option of putting an external antenna on it. And also the fact that it's a little bit wobbly, well, that might or might not be a concern. Now, despite the fact that it does not have any external antennas, it is still really amazing when it comes to range. I was able to get, 30, 40 feet out of it without losing too many bars. It would go down to, 3 and 2 after 40 or 50 feet. Still, if you have this upstairs, it's going to pretty much cover a standard property. You're talking about maybe 50 by 30 feet, no problem whatsoever. And speeds, well, they're amazing, just amazing. You can get gigabit speeds with this, no problem whatsoever. It's not super expensive, and if you're really into firmware and tweaking things with inside the router, it's compatible with the DD-WRT firmware, so keep that in mind. So really a lot packaged with this router. Overall, this is a 100% kick-ass product. Until next time, take care.